Evening everyone. So following an attempt at doing this yesterday, I'm going to tie a Bann Special and hopefully stop calling it a curry shrimp and hopefully tie it a bit better. So I put one up on Instagram yesterday and actually did a full time video for it, which I might put up on YouTube anyway because, you know, I don't think there's any harm in doing things not badly, but just not doing them the way they should be done. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to tie this Bann Special. I've got ATO red thread here, it's going to have a red head. Now I'm just tying in the tag, which is 0.2mm. This is loop wire, but 2mm silver. So I'm just going to tie this in here first. So yeah, having made the fly yesterday, knowing that I hadn't done it quite right, and done a full video, then done a full edit, and then only at the end did I notice that I'd been calling the fly the wrong name the entire time. So good job really. And then got a call from a mate who kindly pointed out that I hadn't tied it quite as it should be, which is absolutely right. So here is my efforts to improve and hopefully get it right. So just tying in the rear tag here, just making sure that it's all as it should be, and folding that back and bringing up the body so it's nice and level, or at least the first section of it. So I'm just going to wind that off. Right, now I'm going to use Pheasant. So this is Pheasant Rump I've got here. This is dyed, it's not natural, it's not golden, but it's dyed by Andre AM. Actually it's a really nice kind of fiery brown, which I really like. So I've pre-stripped a feather here, you can see. So I'm just going to take the vane end here and just manipulate these fibres back a bit. So we're like that, and I'm going to tie in here. Just leaving that bit at the end. So usually I fold that back, but because I'm tying it quite far forward, I think we'll be okay. So all the way back to there, and then just forward a bit. Just going to cut these fibres off. I usually would always tie them back, but I don't think I need to. So again, I'm just going to strike these back with the scissor blade. You don't want them to be too flat, you want them to have a bit of flair, I think. And this time I have actually remembered my Hackle pliers, which is always good. I'm going to tie him in here. Don't worry about the placement of the fibres just yet, because some of them will get obviously caught up in the vise, but that's okay for the time being. And I'm not worried about them flaring either at the moment, because they're quite easy. They're quite soft, these feathers, so they're quite easy to kind of push back, and in the water they'll naturally flow back anyway, so wouldn't worry too much about it. Right, so that's that tied in. I'm just going to tie them off here. And again, I'm going to go up the body, keeping it nice and even. Kind of there. Right, so I'm just going to get all the fibres going the right way, hopefully. Like so. There we go, that'll do. So now I'm going to tie back in the ribbing for the back. So I used to try and do it all in one, but too difficult. Right, so it's yellow on the back, but I'm going to use this, I think it's kind of rustic orange Unifloss. It's just got a really nice colour to it, which matches up with the colour of the Pheasant Rump tail. Well, not matches it, but it's a nice addition to it, rather than just plain yellow. And actually, as I said yesterday, the plain yellow I've got, the material's not the same as the Unifloss, and I don't think it's quite as nice. So I'm going to use this instead. So let's wind him on. Just get out of that hook there. So just overlapping slightly, just to make it nice and neat. Tend to go slightly past halfway, so it's a slightly shorter body at the front, which I don't know if it's the right or wrong way to do. I think probably the wrong way to do on these. I think you're kind of supposed to have half and half, and then wind the ribbing in there for the back half and tie that off. I suppose the only thing about wire is it's slightly tougher, but it could be slippery if you like, so you need to make sure it's tied in well. Right, so that's the business end, the back end here. And get a bit more light onto that yellow. There we go. So I can push that forward a bit. There we go. Right, so next I'm going to put the middle wing in mid hackle, which is nice. This is the cock hackle. Really nice hackle, this one. And again, I've stripped back the hackle to give me my tie-in. This is just orange. It's probably more like hot orange actually, but it's a nice colour. And I think the fly I tied in yesterday, which I'll put up against this one, the middle orange hackle was potentially not quite long enough, so I've upped the game here, but a slightly longer cock hackle, manipulating the fibres back. When by longer I mean the fibres are longer rather than the hackle itself is longer. So the cock hackle obviously means that you're not covering up the body too much. If you use hen hackle, it kind of looks quite nice and it's very smooth, and often it's slightly easier to tie in, but it covers up the body. It's less translucent. So this is where I peel away the fibres to have a neat tie-in point, so I don't have any bulk adding to the fly. Like so. So I'm just going to tie that in. There's a few random stragglers there. We'll get them out. No problem. So we've tied him off. Right, so now we're going to tie back in the remaining silver wire for the front rib, which is there. It's looking pretty hairy, this one. Front body I'm going to use uni, black uni. And like I said in the other video, you can split this on smaller flies, so you can split it in half so it's a lot thinner, but I am not going to do this one because it's a slightly bigger fly. Like so tie in the black here, leaving bit of space for the rib, and obviously you want to make sure that you're leaving enough space to put your front hackle in. I'm probably quite close there, but that's okay, we'll survive. So carry on the kind of similar spacing as the front, at the front, to the back. Okay. Tie that off. And I think actually the fly I tied last night was probably slightly neater maybe. But this is doing exactly what I needed to do. So front hackle, badger, this is a lovely badger hackle, this one. It's nice and soft. Again, I've stripped front and back. I'm going to tie this one in. So I'm going to tie that back to add a bit of protection to it. And then I'm going to tie a little bit further back onto the black just to hold it nicely in place. Because we have fish with teeth and people with pliers, so we need to make these as strong as possible. Especially, you know, when you're thinking about returning a fish, the fly doesn't really matter. You should be more interested in returning the fish. So we want to get them back as quick as possible, so sometimes our pliers can go wild and take our flies apart, which is annoying but just part of the course. So I'm tying this in here. So I'm probably going to do that. So I think that's what, 2 turns, so not too many. So strip it back again. Like so. Now I don't know whether this might be a bit more of a budgie of a... Let's get it right, Bann Special. Got curries on my mind. Picking him off. Whether the tail could be a bit longer. I mean, I'm happy with that. I think generally it's the profile's nice. Right, mistake I made yesterday is I used too small JC as eyes as opposed to the length of the full body or as a wing. So I spoke to someone today about it who mentioned that the eyes are more wings than actual eyes. So, I mean, even these could be constituted as possibly too small, but if you notice on some of the probably higher profile ties than me, the eyes of these are really big and they go kind of right the way back into the hook, especially on trebles. And I understand that possibly the original Irish way was to put the JC eyes underneath the badger hackle at the front. But I've decided to do it this way today. I've never done it the other way, but I didn't know that until today. So make sure they're all matching up. Just pull this one in a bit. So I think as the profile goes, that's probably more like the actual fly rather than the one I made yesterday. So I'm just going to fold these veins back here so we can tie them in to keep the JC nice and secure. Like so. Right, now I've finished that, I'm going to just finish this off. Oh Christ, tumble dryer's going off. Put that in there. He's picked himself off. Always makes me nervous when that happens. Right, so I need to try and find one of the fibres there. One of the fibres there. Gonna have a little play with those. So I think that actually, as a fly, is a much better version of the Bann Special. So all I'm going to do now, I'm not going to do it on the video, but add some Sally Hanson red, probably 1 or 2 coats of that, and then going to add some hard as nails on top of that. And that is my Bann Special.